Ladies and gentlemen, live from the Rockabessa Hitchin Hearts UK, in association with Bloodfire Studios and AJLR Media, welcome to the Big Debate Show. I'm your host, The Judge, and each and every Monday from the hour of 9 p.m. to 10 p.m, you, the viewers, will be able to have a debate with me. Now, before I go on any further, once again, as I always do, I have to introduce to you Nikki. How are you, Nikki?
I'm fine, thank you.
You're up for another debate?
I am.
Last week was fun, you know?
Sure.
But this week's debate is going to be a bit more serious. That's what the Big Debate Show is all about. You know, we just can't be serious and we can't just do humorous ones. We balance it out. Now, before I tell you what the show is about, I'd just like to say this. If you've missed any shows, don't forget, you can go onto my website, thebigdebateshow.com, or you can go to YouTube and watch any of my shows. So even if you missed it, you can still catch up on it. But with that being said, tonight's show is all about, is the cost of living harder now than ever before? That's right. Is the cost of living harder now than ever before? You must be thinking, why am I talking about this? Well, you must have seen on the news last week, there was a big speech from the Chancellor, and he said, it seems like we're back on the rise. Things are looking good in this country, you know. The way how he was going on, it seemed like everything is not perfect, but, you know, people are much better off now. Now, he even said that the average family was £900 a year better off. £900 a year, and I scratch my head to that, you know, because I think to myself, where do they get these figures from? And I don't know if he's been up and down the country to see how real families are living and are struggling. But I think to myself, you know what, Nikki? It's a struggle. And there's a lot of people who are struggling. Now, with that in mind, I want to turn to you because there's no point just me going on, waffling on.
No.
That's why you're on the show. And I'd like to see what you have to say on tonight's debate. Is the cost of living harder now than ever before? And why is that, if it is?
Of course it is. And the reason is because the government screws this country over. You've only got to go down any town, there's food banks everywhere. People can't eat, they can't afford to eat. But the government, they're all right up in their big houses, getting their 3 meals a day on expenses, and you've got the bankers, they're rolling in it. To be honest, I think it's all gone like this because we're within the EU. We're putting all this money into the EU and we can't get out of the recession. We are still in a recession. When people can't eat, when people are being evicted, when people go without food to put petrol in their car so they get to work, this place is not improving.
From Nikki, she says this place is not improving. Now, for all the viewers who've just tuned in, we're talking about, is the cost of living harder now than ever before? Now, if you want to get involved in the show, if you want to have a input in tonight's show, I'm going to tell you how to get involved. The hotline, if you want to speak to me live and direct, the number to call is 07818 361 551. Let me say it again. 07818 361 551. But if you don't want to speak to me live, no problem. You can text me on that same number, or you can use the Facebook or the Twitter page, which is the Big Debate Show. But with Twitter, leave out the W. So it's just SHO. Okay, now back to tonight's show. There must be a lot of viewers that are watching the show and thinking, you know what? It's a struggle. It's a struggle. Nikki just said the food banks, you know, so many families are feeling the pinch. But are you one of those who ain't feeling the pinch? Do you think life, the cost of living now is much easier than, let's say, when you was growing up in the 70s, 80s, or even the 90s? Would you say it's much easier now?
No. Not when you've got to work 2 jobs just to tie yourself over. I mean, because a lot of households do not have 2 incomes coming in, like with partners both working. There's a lot of single families out there, single parent families out there who are really feeling the pinch. And there's women who go out there, and probably men as well, who work but still have to go to the food bank because they can't afford to feed their children.
So
the houses are disgusting.
Mm-hmm. So why did the Chancellor last week saying how...
Because he's all right.
Because
he's all right. All he sees is his peers.
Let me give you some stats, Nikki. Let me give you some stats. Yeah, let me give you some stats. The Chancellor said...
I don't believe... You believe what they say?
The Chancellor, not the judge... The Chancellor said
well, I ain't listening
the
to that.
average household is better off now. It seems like we are better off now than in 2010.
Really? Well, he needs to step down and live in a life of a normal family and then come back and say, oh, yeah, they're better off.
What do you think, my viewers? This is the judge for the big debate show. We are debating, is the cost of living harder now than ever before? The number to call is 07818 361 551. I say it again, 07818 361 551. You can use that same number to send in a text or use the Facebook or the Twitter page. Nikki.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. This is the reason I say, and we don't agree with a lot of things, but on tonight's show, I know so many families out there, so many people that are absolutely struggling. And if you think about this, I'm sure there's a lot of viewers out there who are watching the show that once you pay your bills,
you've got nothing left.
Once you've paid for your food,
if you've got enough for food,
because you've got enough for food,
because you've got to put it in your petrol tank.
There is nothing.
Get to work.
Yeah, there is nothing left, and I think to myself, you got the people in power, and I think they need to go around the country, Nikki.
Yeah, because I bet they ain't got rising damp in their house.
No, and
I bet they've got food in their cupboards. Of course they have, because they claim it all back from the taxpayers that pay extra. I mean, if you're working 2 jobs, you're paying probably more tax on that. Yes,
and some people might even have 3 jobs.
Yes.
You know, and still struggling with 2 jobs. There must be a lot of people out there who are struggling no matter what. And let's not even go into the kids yet. But let me just say, this is the judge for the big debate show with Nikki. We're at the Rockabessa, beautiful place. Don't forget to come down to have a drink and watch the show live. If you've just tuned in, we're talking about, is the cost of living harder now than ever before? I remember growing up, Nikki. Yeah? Don't cut me.
I'm not cutting you just because I breathed.
Okay. But you breathe heavy. I'm one of 5. And I know families that are one of 6, 7 in their family, 9 in their family. And I said to myself, look, back in those days, back in the 80s, when I was a kid, when I was growing up.
70s.
80s, when I was growing up, yeah?
70s. Yeah.
Let's just stick with the 80s, yeah? When I was growing up, the families always seem to have enough. You know, most of the times the fathers would go to work and the mothers would stay at home. In the 70s, when I was growing up, that seemed like...
I'm not familiar with that kind of lifestyle.
The 70s and the 80s, that seemed like the norm.
No.
The father, I'm talking about in my area, Nikki, when I was growing up, it seemed like the father went out to work and the mother stayed home to look after the kids. And I'm not talking 1 and 2 kids either, my viewers. I'm talking a lot of kids. And somehow, they just had enough. Why, Nikki? I'm asking you.
Because
why
they're putting
now?
up prices of food, of petrol, of rent, of council tax. They're making all them prices, you know, the price of everything rise. But what they're not doing is making the wages rise at the same percentage each year. I mean, I can't remember the last time I had a pay rise with inflation. They're not doing it. So they're putting money up on everything, but not on your wages. You stay the same.
And you know what? I'm going to agree tonight. I'm going to agree because I'm sure there's a lot of viewers out there who've absolutely feel the pinch, they are struggling in their everyday living. Wages, they hasn't really, you know, for the last 10, 15 years, you know, and as Nikki said, the prices keep going up and up.
But wages aren't fake, but unless you're a banker or a politician, you're getting inflation on your wages.
If you got a good wage, you will not feel the pinch. It's 15 minutes have gone, 9:15. If you've just tuned in, we're talking about is the cost of living harder now than ever before? Is the cost of living harder now than ever before? 07818 361 551. Have you got something to say on tonight's show? Are you one of the many people in this country who felt the pinch, who are struggling every week just to put food on the table, or
pay the rent, pay council tax?
Are you one of the families out there who ain't feeling the pinch, who will say, you know what, I'm better off now than ever before? Are you one of those families? I would like to hear from both sides. That's what a debate is about. Not just one side, both sides. Have you seen your wages go up each year? Or, as Nikki says, the wages have stayed at the same level and everything else is just rising?
I mean, the ones who are really affected are families that are on low income, that do work, who aren't on any benefits. They're the ones that are hit the hardest because they're not entitled to anything, because they're just over that barrier of getting additional support, but they still haven't got enough to get them through. It's just disgusting. But what can you do?
And I take my hat off. Being the judge, I can't take my wig off. I take my hat off to all the families that, you know, they could live off the benefit system, but they choose not to. And you look on, and I'm not trying to shoot down all the families that are on benefits, but you have to understand that when you have a family that are not on benefits, but they're worse off than some of the families that are on benefits, you have to scratch your head. And I've heard people say, it's not worth me working, because all I'm doing is paying it all back.
What's the matter with them? They ain't got no self-respect. If you can work, work. That's half the problem. Because a lot of the money that does go into government and it does end up in benefits. And those that can work, and all this, I'm depressed, I can't work. Well, perhaps if you go to work, you won't be depressed. So, you know, people need to contribute more into tax as well.
Okay. 07818 361 551. Back to the debate. Is the cost of living harder now than ever before? Are you one of those people that are struggling to even get through the week? This system is made up so that I find out that we're supposed to be in debt.
We are in debt.
The average person is in debt. You know, they try to send you all these loans to get you in debt. And if you're not in debt, they want to know why you're not in debt. And I think to myself, it is so hard. Now, it's been nearly 20 minutes of the debate. I'm going to turn to the youngsters that are growing up. Yes, the youngsters that are growing up. How do they feel? How do they feel? Trying to get a job, trying their hardest, that it seems very impossible, trying to get on the ladder. When I mean the ladder, trying to buy property, trying to buy a house.
That's the least of their problems at the moment.
Yeah.
They need to find a job first. Forget about property.
Yeah, but
forget about property.
But the debate is the cost of living. Yeah,
yeah, but
that is what tonight's debate is about.
Buying a house is not an essential thing. You can just stay
it's
at
not
home.
Essential?
Buying a house, no.
It's not an essential thing?
No.
I would
no,
beg
it's not
to
essential
differ.
because you're very lucky to be able to afford to buy a house. But a lot of people can't.
Hold on.
So no, it's not an essential matter.
I will
what they should
to
do.
Differ.
Oh, because you're all right. Because you live in a house.
I will beg to differ that there is a lot of young couples out there. I'm talking about the couples who are in work now, yeah, and are struggling, and they're trying to get on the ladder, yeah.
You know, that's the least of your worries.
And
that's the least
I tell
of
you
your
something.
Worries.
Let me tell you this: it's not the least of my worries.
No, of course it's not. You're right.
But no.
Yes, you are.
What do you mean I'm all right?
Because you've got your own place, you're on the ladder, you're cool.
Hold on a minute.
But when you can't get on that ladder...
Hold on.
Right, the last thing on your mind is... What? I don't what?
What I'm trying to say is, if you give me a chance, is that the young people that are trying to get on the ladder...
What? You know...
The young people that are trying...
Do you work with young people? Do you mix with young people?
Can I say...
Do you really think that's
are you going to let me finish? Are you going to let me finish? Because I've spoken to a lot of young people.
Have you?
And hold on a minute.
You actually know a lot of young people.
There is a lot of young people
got a clue.
that are trying. Now, when you got two people,
it's the same two people you always chat to.
A young man and a young female, and they're both working hard, and they're trying to get on the ladder. And I would... All my viewers, my viewers out there, I'm talking, yes, I do get it, because let me tell you something now. It's all about progress. Now,
they can't progress,
hold
they
on.
can't even feed themselves. The last thing they want to do is buy a house.
If you're going to let me finish, it's about progress. One, we are talking about the cost of living. Now, once you've...
That's got nothing to do with houses.
Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute.
That's not living. Living is finding something to eat.
Hold on a minute. Once you have money coming in, and what I'm trying to say, the cost of living, if you did let me finish without butting in, you would understand what I was trying to get at, that it is virtually impossible for young people to get on the ladder. Now, I don't know why you're shooting your mouth off for when I'm trying to say facts.
I'm telling you, no, because they don't want to buy a house.
How do you know that, Nikki? Do you know every young person out there?
I know a lot.
I know a lot more than you. Do you know every young person out there?
I know a lot more than you. And
so please, do not say Do not say on the Big Debate Show.
Well, don't you say it then, because you're saying that young
no.
people want to buy a house. That is not a necessity. The necessity
You
is
still
finding...
never heard what I said.
Oh,
You
because
still
you're
never
chatting
heard
because
what
of-
I said.
Because you're talking about
Because
them.
I said...
Buying a house is not in the cost of living.
Did you hear what I was trying to say?
I'm not in,
What do you think, my viewers?
Oh,
If you've just tuned into the Big Debate
You
Show,
haven't got a clue.
Judge and Nikki, the number to call is 07818 361 551. She says I haven't got a clue.
No, you haven't.
Okay, now...
You haven't. You just listen to what the Chancellor says and what they say on the news.
Now-
You haven't been out there. You've spoken to what? A couple of people.
Hold on a
What
minute.
young people do you know?
Can I say this
A lot
to you?
less than me.
Can I say this to you? You're running off your mouth,
I'm not running off my
and
mouth.
I'm trying to put facts to you.
No, you're not. They're
And
not
what
facts, though.
I
They're
am
not
saying,
facts.
so
They are not facts.
It is not a fact.
They're more
that
concerned about getting a job first.
It is not
They're
a
more
fact.
concerned about eating. They're not concerned about buying a house.
Right. Now, if he did let me finish, I said it is virtually, we're talking about food, we're talking about bills,
Which-
and I'm
which is the
switching
cost of
it
living.
to young people.
Young people,
And
and
the
that's the
young
last thing on
people
their minds.
who, that's where you're absolutely wrong.
That's where
Now,
you're absolutely
what do
wrong.
you think, my viewers, if you've just tuned in, the cost of living, is it harder now than ever before?
I think you're talking
Nikki's
about buying a
saying
house.
it's not important, this house buying. I'm going to
not.
say it to the viewers, and I'm going to say it to you.
Oh,
Live on the Big Debate Show, if you are a young couple, I don't think there's a young couple who out there who wouldn't want to get on the ladder. But
Everyone
what
wants to get on the ladder,
what
but it's
I'm
not.
trying to say is it is virtually impossible. And Nikki's saying, why are you talking about that? It's all about the big picture. It's not just about
But
food
the thing
banks.
is, people can't look at the big picture because they can't get past what's in front of them, which is finding food, which is finding the petrol, which is finding the money to pay the bills. The last thing on their mind is, oh, let's save up and buy a house. That's the last thing on their mind when they're trying to survive on what they've got as it is. They don't earn enough to save up.
My viewers, this is the Big Debate Show.
I mean, how many incomes have you got coming into your house?
Hold
I bet
on.
it ain't one or two.
Hold on a minute. This is the judge for the Big Debate Show.
And the
Let's-
thing is,
let's-
young people
Are
won't be
you going to-
earning as much as what we would, because we've got the experience, we've got the knowledge, we've got the qualifications to do the jobs that we do, which are well paid. Whereas young people haven't got that qualification, they haven't got the experience, so they haven't got the money. So they know full well that they're staying at home for a good 10 years until they're in their 30s, when they have got what we've got, the education, the experience, the good jobs. That's when they start thinking about buying somewhere, if they're lucky.
Back to the
when they're 18,
back
19,
to
20.
the Big Debate Show. Is the cost of living harder now than ever before? Now, I switched to the young people, and straight away, Nikki's on this.
Yeah, because you think they all want to buy a house. That's the last
I'm
thing on their
going
mind.
to, let me say this to you.
All they're thinking about is getting a job
Let me say this to you.
or apprenticeship.
Let me say this to you, yeah? I am not going to disagree with anything you're saying. But what I will say is that don't try and twist my words
I ain't twisting
into
nothing.
anything, because
I
I'm
ain't
going to
twisting
tell you
nothing.
something, Nikki.
When you're going on about
I will
buying
tell
houses,
you,
that's the last
I
one on
will
their
tell you
mind.
something, Nikki. It will never work on my show. You're not going
Well,
to try and
apparently-
twist
Oh, okay.
my words.
So all young people,
No,
all young
I didn't
people
say
want to
that.
buy the house,
Hold
and
on,
that's the main thing. They've got to buy
I
their
didn't.
own house.
No, you're saying it again. You're
That's
trying.
what you said.
You're trying to put words in
I
my
don't-
mouth, and don't matter how much you try, it will never work. And one day on the Big Debate Show, you will understand. You're never gonna break me. You're never gonna get me into a corner. Yeah, it will never work,
but I'm
because
not.
I am the judge, and this is the Big Debate Show, and I'm listening to Nikki, and I hope you're enjoying the show.
Well, don't
07818 361 551. It's impossible, Nikki.
But don't go into an area you don't know nothing about, because really, you only know a few young people.
What
How many
is
young
the
people do you
area?
know? Young people.
What is the
Young
area?
people.
Are you going to shoot me down because I said it is impossible for young people
No, you didn't
nowadays
say that. No,
to buy
you didn't
a house?
Say that. You said
I
spoke
said
to
it's
lots
virtually.
of young people.
I
you
say
said you spoke to a lot of
I
young
said
people who
it's-
said that.
I said it's virtually impossible
It
for
is
young
impossible.
people. But let's move on with the debate
Yeah.
anyway. Let's move on because you
That's
know what,
nothing to
Nikki?
do- Yeah, because that's nothing to do with cost of living.
Let me say this, and let me say it to my viewers. I was very shocked. And I do a lot of research, and this is one thing I did research. I went to a food bank, Nikki. I'm not going to say where it was. And sometimes you picture people lining up to a food bank, you know, you can see they're poor, you know, the clothes they're wearing, or you can see they're struggling. But I was very surprised, Nikki, when I went to a food bank, because I knew I was doing this show, and I went to a food bank. I'm not going to tell you where it is, yeah? And the people that were lining up a lot of them were students, you know?
Oh, they're the young people you asked.
Hold on. A lot of them were students, well-dressed, well-mannered people. And I said to myself, look at this. Is this what the country is going through right now? And I'm not talking one and two people, Nikki. With my own eyes, I saw a lot of people lining up for food.
Can I just add something?
You can add as much as you want.
Okay, where I work, they actually hold a food bank every week. And I don't see students going in there. What I do see is young families. I see a lot of men going there, single men, older single men. I see a lot of elderly couples going there. So, forget about students. It's affecting the most.
What do you mean forget about the students?
Forget about the students,
No,
because
Nikki.
really, I tell you what, you're more
No,
interested-
no. You started on me a few minutes ago, and I'm going to attack
But I tell you something.
No,
Forget about students, right? Because there's families
I
out
am
there.
so sorry.
And on about
you
how
cannot
they dress.
sit
What's
on
that
the.
got to
You
do?
cannot sit on
What's
the
that
big
got to do
debate
with
show.
The way they dress, going to
Hold
food
on.
banks?
You cannot sit
What's
on.
that got to
No,
do with it?
I'm not. I'm gonna get you on this one.
Okay.
You cannot sit
Yes,
on
I
the
can.
big debate show
Forget
with
about
the judge
students.
and say
Because
forget
students-
about the students.
Right,
I am
students,
so
right,
sorry.
go to,
I am
university.
so
What,
sorry.
University
They
students?
are struggling.
Are they university
They-
students? Are they university students?
You cannot sit.
Are they university students?
I didn't go and
Because
ask
if they're
every.
university students, obviously there's some money behind them for them to be able to go to university. And the cost of living, their parents pay for everything. They have got money back up. What I'm talking about, that's what I'm saying.
Don't
No,
you
no.
come on the big
Yes,
debate
they
show
have.
and say
They
forget
have.
the students.
Because
I'm
there's
very-
money
no,
behind them.
no,
There's
no,
money behind them for them
There's
to be
students
able
that go,
to go
uni. There's
to
students
university.
that go to college.
Did you ask
I
them?
am not.
College.
I am not gonna.
College.
I'm not gonna allow you. I'm
College.
not going
Do you
to
know what?
allow
They get
you.
bursaries.
Hold on.
They get
I
bursaries.
am not going to.
They get bursaries to
I
pay
am not going to allow
for their
you
living
to
expenses.
come onto
they
the
get
big.
bursaries. They get grants, which they can
Tell
pay
me
back
when you finish,
when they
so
get
I
jobs.
can
I'm not finished
say my
yet.
piece. No.
I'm not finished yet.
Go on.
Because what I'm saying is, they have got backative, they get bursaries, they get grants, they can get a little part-time job. They have got enough money to tick them over. What I'm talking about and what I'm concerned about is the amount of vulnerable people out there, the homeless. That's what I'm saying. Forget the students. They've got their own place. They've got mummy and daddy paying for their tuition. Right? You've got the elderly. You've got
Don't
who've worked all their
forget
life.
what tonight's show is
Yes,
about.
it's the cost of living.
The cost of living.
And it is the vulnerable that are affected. It's them who are being held
Let
to
me.
ransom.
let
They're
me-
the ones that are hard hit. So no, not the students, not the university students.
Right.
Of course they're dressed smart
Let
because
me-
mummy and daddy bought their Armani outfits.
Let me put my two pence.
Gee.
Let me put my 2 pence in. Yeah.
Go ahead.
But before I say that, let me just go back to
It's
my
a bit
view.
different from my food
Please.
bank. They'll wear Primani there.
Please let me go back to the viewers that have tuned in to the big debate show. If you've just tuned in, we are debating is the cost of living harder now than ever before? what's your take on this? Have you got a view? Are you struggling or are you doing okay? You know, money's not a issue to you. Has your life improved? Is it easier now than ever before? Now, Nikki, I am sorry, but I'm going to say this. I'm not, and you're going to let me talk. I'm not going to forget about the students. I will not forget about any group of people in this country. Is it students, elderly, vulnerable? You're going to get people that are struggling in all walks of life. So there's not one group of people I will say I'm going to forget about. You can forget about the students.
Yes,
I'm not. Because I'm telling you this.
And I'll tell you something, students
are you going to let me finish? Please.
Go on,
you're going to let me finish.
Yeah,
because students now are in debt. Yeah, there is so many students. And I'm gonna try and say this without Nikki interrupting. The students are struggling. They're going into the unis and coming out in a lot of debt. Yeah? And not all students have got rich families, Nikki. Not all students have got mummy and daddy earning loads of money. Yeah? Sometimes mummy and daddy have got themselves into debt to put their kids into uni. So I'm not going to sit here on the big debate show and say what you just said, forget about the students, because the judge is not about that, okay? I am here for everyone, not just one section of society. Everybody, in all walks of life, people are struggling. Now back to you, Nikki.
Okay, back to me. Those that at university or going off to do their degrees, they don't have to actually pay back their debt until they are earning over a certain amount of money a year, and then it's a small proportion of their wages. I know because I've done it with my qualification. It's a minor, a little bit that you don't even notice. So they don't have to pay nothing until they've got over a threshold.
So let's forget about the students. They're okay.
Yeah, they are.
I'm sorry, I can't do that.
Because I'll tell you something, right?
When
they get their degree, because part of their degree would be, with the majority of them, is doing work placements and work experience. So once they get their degree and they've got the experience behind them, I'll tell you something, they're on more money than you. So no, I don't feel sorry for them.
You don't feel sorry for them?
No, I feel sorry, and I feel for those that are the most vulnerable. The ones that are homeless. We all. You're not all vulnerable.
No, we all feel for them.
I'm not saying feel. No, because that's a bit degrading saying we feel sorry for them. Don't feel sorry for them, but I feel for them because they've got the homeless. They're made homeless because of what they can't afford the rent. They can't afford council tax. There's women in prison because they can't afford their council tax. There's women in prison because of their TV licence. Yes. They haven't paid it.
All walks of life, there's people struggling.
But there's women who are taken from their families to be put in prison because they can't afford the council tax.
Suffering. But tonight's show is the cost of living harder now than ever before? Is the cost of living harder now than ever before? I don't know the time. It's been taken away from me, but I would like to say we're having a debate tonight, Nikki.
Yeah.
We are having a debate tonight, and I'd like to say, you know what? If you just tuned in tonight's show, don't forget the number to call is 07818 361 551. It's the judge for the big debate show live at the Rockabessa with Nikki. Tonight is the cost of living harder than ever before? Now, what I can't understand is when the Chancellor said people are the average family, and you just have to look, I'm sure you just have to look in your own areas and know that there's a lot of families out there that are struggling. And it is heartbreaking, yeah? It is heartbreaking. Now, every person's situation is different, yeah? You go, you pay your bills, food, at the end of it, you have nothing to show. Your bank is empty. And I'm sure there's a lot of people, viewers out there who would agree with the judge and with Nikki, you know, that times are hard. Times are very hard. Nikki, like to add? No, I need... okay. We've got 20 minutes left on the show. 20 minutes left. And I tell you something, it's going so fast, Nikki. It's actually going so fast. But back to the show. Let me say this. You look on the supermarkets and you see that the smaller supermarkets, you know, I'm not going to call out any other supermarkets' names, but the ones that were selling cheaper food, you notice that they're getting a lot of business these days. Yeah, and the bigger supermarkets are under pressure because a lot of families ain't going to the big supermarkets, Nikki.
Yeah, but still not enough's being done.
Yeah, and the ones that doing the offers, buy one, get two free, you know, buy one. And
so obviously
people
obviously
are looking for bargains, Nikki.
Yeah, but obviously if they can do that, they can afford to lower the prices. They can afford to lower, you know, even the basics, lower them prices. And
it's about profit. Are you talking about the businesses, Nikki?
The businesses. Do you know what? They make so much profit with, you know, they can afford to lower prices. They still make a profit.
I'm going to go back to the young people. You know, I'm going to go back to the young people because the young people are the future. Yeah? And yes, of course, you need food in your belly first. And you need food, you need clothes, and there's a lot who can't afford it. That's why they go to the food banks. You know, they might go to second-hand shops to get clothes. I never said it was wrong. I'm just saying facts. Yeah? And once again, trying to get on the ladder, trying to buy your own house.
That's not even a necessity.
I think to myself, it's virtually impossible. So yes, the cost of living.
And that's a luxury, buying your own house, and really necessities are more important than a luxury.
It is very, very hard out there. But then when you're talking about luxuries, yeah, people might not be in work or have little pay, but they go and make big tattoos, yeah? And they spend money on big tattoos that might cost hundreds of pounds. Yeah, so when you're talking about this and that...
They've probably saved up for their little pleasure.
So people...
what, you're taking that away from them?
So people want to save up and buy a house too, Nikki. People want to save up and buy a house.
A little £200, £300, £400 tattoo is a bit different from a £160,000 house.
I'm sure you've seen a lot of people that are struggling, and you look on their shoes. Yeah, they're not wearing cheap trainers.
Have you heard of eBay?
I'm not saying that.
Have you heard of eBay? Because you can get them cheap on eBay or any other web. One of them online shopping.
Yes.
Online shopping, you can get anything and everything.
So
cheap.
Let's not say, oh, hold on a minute. At the end of the day,
don't judge someone because they're wearing the latest.
I will say this to you. It is important. It is important to have a roof over your head. And I will say there's a lot of young people who will want to have the ambition and can't afford it to better their lives.
So buying your own house means you've got a better life.
I didn't say that.
Yes, you do. It's better life.
I didn't say that.
Social housing is better. Because I'll tell you something, it's easy. If something breaks down, at least you can call the council to fix it.
07818 361 551. This is the judge with Nikki on the Big Debate Show. We're having a lovely debate tonight. Is the cost of living harder than ever before? If you want to get involved in tonight's show, the number to call is 07818 361 551. That's 07818 361 551. Or send me a text. We read out texts, or use the Facebook or the Twitter page, the Big Debate Show. We're having a debate tonight, Nikki. We're having a debate because this, what I'm talking about, affects so many families out there. Yeah?
Buy a house.
Yeah? So many families. Well,
it's the most important thing to do.
You're talking about buying a house.
No, you did.
Yeah,
you did. It's like it's that's what you got to do.
No, what I'm saying is, there's a lot.
Living is more important than buying a house.
There's a lot of young people who want to buy.
Forget about the house. Forget about the house. Everyone wants to buy a house, but we can't all buy a house. So that's the last thing on our mind.
It might be the last thing on your mind.
No.
Yeah, it might be the last thing on your mind.
What's more important to me is getting my rent in, paying my council tax.
Well, guess what?
Getting food on the table.
There's viewers that are watching the show, and that might be the last thing on your mind, but it's not the last thing on their mind, because at the end of the day, they want to own their own property. And I'm not going to shoot down anybody who wants to own their own property. And I'm not going to shoot down anybody who is paying rent. Yeah? Because when I was growing up, I was in a family that paid rent for many years. So I'm not here shooting down any type of person. You just got a bit
snobbery that buying a house is the
not snobbery. What I'm saying is, there is a lot of young couples out there who want to buy their own house, but they can't afford to buy their own house.
It's the last one in their mind. So why bring it up? Why? Buy a house? Oh, no, you can't.
Yeah? Okay, let me carry on. Let me keep it going. Let me keep this show moving. No, I'm not Nikki. This is the judge for the Big Debate Show. We've got, I don't know how long we've got, but I know the time is short. The time is very short. And I would like to say this, that you go to the supermarket, Nikki, and you know what I found out? That by the time I do my shopping and I go to that till, I tell you something, it's very expensive. Food is very expensive. Healthy food.
Well, that's why there's obesity in this country.
Healthy food.
You can't,
Let me finish. Healthy food.
I know, it's cheap to buy £1.99
healthy
chicken and chips.
Healthy food is very expensive. And the government keeps saying, we got to get healthy. But there's so many families out there who can't afford it. And as Nikki says, they go out and they buy the chicken and chips that's £2, or they buy the ready meals. And
so they're expensive.
It is a real struggle.
And then they've got to find the money to put in a gas meter.
That's if you're paying rent. A lot of people have mortgages and they're struggling in their mortgages, and they are behind in their mortgages too. Yeah, so it's not just people paying rent. But you know what? I will say this. I honestly think the government have got a lot to do, because
they ain't gonna do nothing.
Because the people are just, it is absolutely horrendous how you can go to so many places and you can see lines and lines of people queuing for food. Yeah? I don't think it's been this bad, Nikki. I honestly don't think it's been this bad.
No, the past couple of years.
It is terrible.
Since actually the government that they're in now came in. And
you know the sad thing about it, Nikki?
What?
I don't think any party is going to really make an improvement. And I'm not here
No, because they've stuffed us. They've stuffed us.
I don't think
Totally stuffed us.
I don't think there's any party out there, you know, that is going to say, I mean, really make a change. Struggling, prices are rising.
Privatising everything.
It is hard, you know, and you got a lot of immigration coming in, putting pressure on the system, and that can, you know, lead to a lot of people.
That's what I'm saying. We need to come out of the EU.
Discriminating and hating. So it's a whole range. It is a whole range, but the cost of living, yes, it is very hard. It is a struggle. But you know what? I'm sure there's families out there who are not feeling the pinch.
Good for them.
I'm sure there's families out there who they haven't felt the pinch.
Pleased for you.
And I'm sure there's guys and women out there who are doing well. Each year has got better.
You're probably bankers.
And I would like to hear from those people too.
They're not going to say nothing because they're sitting there quite happy.
07818 361 551. This is the judge for the big debate show with Nikki. What do you think, my viewers? Have your say. Use the Facebook or the Twitter page. Please get involved in tonight's show. How long have we got left, Nikki? Do you know? I haven't got a clue. I haven't got a clue. But I would like to say this. It's been a wonderful debate tonight. You know, it's one of those that it affects so many people, you know, and is not.
And I think a lot of people are ignorant to it as well.
What do you mean by that?
They think that the necessities of people are really luxuries.
Oh my word. You know what?
Like there's people out there who can't eat or anything because they've got to put the money in the gas. Because they can't
It's a struggle.
Because they can't afford to pay the monthly direct debit. It's easier for them to put it into the meter. So they'll go without gas during winter months, and then then they get ill, then they end up in hospital. Then it's causing more money on NHS. Beds are being used up. It's catch-22, really, isn't it?
It is.
So really,
how long have we got left on the show? 10 minutes to go. Just over 10 minutes to go. If you would like to say something on tonight's show, do not hesitate. The number to call is 07818 361 551. I will say that again, 07818 361 551. Is the cost of living harder than ever before? Now, not everyone's struggling. You know, now it's not just bankers, Nikki. There's other professions out there that you can earn good money. You know, so there's a lot of professions out there that you can earn good money and they are living a good life. But the majority of people in this country are struggling. And the day to day, I've been in a position where when you pay out all the bills and whatever, and you look back in the bank account like so many other people, there's nothing there. And you wonder, but I've never been the type to say, give up and, I'm going to go on benefits. It's one of those things that, yes, I've been on benefits. Yeah? When you hit hard times, but I've always had this drive, like so many other people, and I'm not shooting down people who are on benefits now either, because it is a struggle, because the government has made it so that if you have 3 or 4 kids, and I'm not trying to change the debate, but sometimes it's easier for families to stay on benefits because
They've got more
of
money.
the cost coming
They
off
get-
benefits, coming off with 3 or 4 kids. You're worse off now, Nikki.
Yeah, of course they're worse off, but get some pride. I tell you, there's only been, I think, twice I've been on benefits, and that's because I just had my baby, and the other time was because I was made redundant. But I tell you something, I was back in work within 6 months after having my son, and within 9 weeks when being made redundant. There's jobs out there. I'm not sitting on my bum making out, oh, I've got anxiety problems, I've got depression problems, and get the money in.
So-
I'm going out there and working.
So are you
And
saying
there's a lot of people
everybody on benefits should be working?
out there. Majority of them should be. Yeah, there's enough people out there who should be working that should not be on benefits.
Well,
I mean, when a child gets to a certain age, they can go to work.
well, we're not going to talk about benefits anymore because tonight's show is about the cost of living. And I recall when I was growing up, I could go into these shops with maybe 20, 30 pounds, and the amount of materials, if it's clothes, if it's food, if it's petrol, whatever it was, I could come out with a nice amount of things. Nowadays, you go into the supermarket and you're trying to, just do your weekly shopping.
You're lucky you can do weekly shop. There's people who have to go day by day.
Like I said, there's a lot of families who go into supermarkets, do their weekly shopping,
They're the lucky ones.
and it is
They're the
very,
real lucky
very
ones.
hard
But they're the lucky ones.
because not everyone's in the same boat. Not everyone's in the same boat. You've
But
got
you've
people
only got
that are
one.
on, they need help through the food banks. There's people that are in a lot of debt, but you won't know they're in debt because they try to keep it quiet and they still look the part. So
What do you mean look the part?
well, they might still be driving the nice car.
Perhaps
they might
they paid
still
for that car.
there might
Perhaps
still
that's the only
be
thing they've got. They paid for that car before
There might
something
be-
might have happened.
there
You
might
can't
be-
judge people who are on
the-
debt.
I'm
You don't
not-
know how they got there.
there might be in their house. What I'm saying is you cannot look on a person, if you did let me finish what I was trying to say, you cannot look on a person and judge a person by how they look. You don't know their circumstances. That's what I was trying to say before you butted in. But now you can say your part.
And I've said it.
Okay, it's the judge for the big debate show. 07818 361 551. We've got about 9 minutes left on tonight's show. 9 minutes left. And I hope you've enjoyed tonight's show. It's been a heated discussion, but it's one that I hold dear to my heart because I know so many families and friends out there that are struggling.
Really.
Yes, I do. Yes. And it's not easy, because people don't shout it out on the street, I'm struggling. You don't know anyone's circumstances. And I'm not about to shoot down anyone because that's what the judge is not about.
I don't think you know the kind of people I know.
It's not about do I know the kind of
So,
people you
what I'm-
know. What I'm trying to say is that I know people.
I don't think you really got an idea of what vulnerability is, to be honest.
I'm talking about financial struggle.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about as well.
That
vulnerable.
I'm talking
and
financial struggle. That
I
is
know
what
that,
tonight's
when
show's about. Financial
yes,
struggle.
and I know plenty who have got
And
financial
that's
struggle.
what
They've
I
got
said.
no money at all.
And that's what I said tonight, Nikki. So please don't say I don't know.
You
When
don't- you
when
don't
I
know the
said I
extreme.
know,
You don't know the extreme. You've never encountered the extreme. I don't know that. You haven't.
well, you can say what you want to say,
Mm.
and I'm not going to argue too much because at the end of the day, everyone has their own situation. Just like the viewers out there who've watched the big debate show tonight, who've tuned in. I don't know if you're struggling. I don't know if you're married or single. Both sets can be struggling. You could be single and struggling, married and struggling, and you could be on benefits struggling, and you could be working and struggling. But tonight's show is the cost of living harder than ever before. And it seems like, Nikki, for once, maybe never again, we agreed on most things.
Yeah.
That
Can I just say something? The election's coming up. Vote wisely this time. We've all got this vote. Can we use it wisely? Because we need to get rid of the government we've got, because they're the ones who put us in this predicament now.
Nikki,
That's all I've got to say.
this show, I'm not.
That's all I've got to say.
I am not.
At the end of the day, it's the government's fault. We're in this predicament.
Well, Nikki, I've got news for you.
Oh.
I've got news for you. So you can. I don't want you coming on the big debate show and trying to say get this government out, because all we're gonna do is put another one in.
Oh,
yeah?
what? Let's
and
stick with the ones we've got.
Hold
There
on.
are
This
other ones
show
out there.
is not about
What
swaying.
I said was.
You don't even have to
think
point.
Wisely.
You don't have to point.
Think wisely about who
You
you
don't
vote.
have to tell
Do a bit
anybody.
Of research first.
You don't have
Do
to.
a bit of research.
It-
and
it-
actually,
it is
vote.
not.
The problem is people aren't voting.
It is
and
not
they need
for
to
you.
vote to get
It
this
is-
government
it is-
out.
it is not
This government is useless. This government has put us in this position.
It is not for
It's
you
the government
to come
and
onto
the
the
bankers,
big debate
the
show.
bankers are behind the government that have put us, this country, where it is now.
It is not for you to come onto the big
It is.
debate show.
I can say
Can
what
I
I
say,
want.
and try and sway people to be wise on who they vote. People ain't
I'm not
silly,
swaying
Nikki.
them. You think what? Then
you
people
making-
aren't voting because they're
you-
thinking, oh,
you
if I vote,
are
they're not
making
gonna get in.
people think-
All I'm saying is vote.
You
Use that.
are trying to. It sounds like you're thinking they don't know what they,
Oh, no,
who
no,
they
no,
want
no,
to
no,
vote
no.
for.
They know who they vote
This
want
show
to vote
is-
for, but there's.
This
we've
show
all
is
been
not
there.
about that, Nikki.
I ain't gonna vote for them because they're not gonna get in. So
This
what's the
show
point?
is not
Vote for
about
them. Even if they don't get in, at least vote for whoever you want to vote for.
Thank you. This show is not about you coming on here
Oh,
or me
please,
coming on here and
please.
saying, let's get the government out. The judge is not about that. And
Well, I'm
I
not the
am
judge,
very
am I?
partial. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for.
You vote for the same people.
I'm not going
go
to tell
in.
you who to vote for
Well, neither am
because
I.
that's your own personal
I didn't
vote.
tell them.
Yeah?
What
Get this
to
government
vote.
out. I'm not even going to say that.
It does need to come
I'm
out.
sure there's most people have got their heads screwed on, and tonight's show is not about who to vote for or who to get out.
It's
of
about the cost
government.
of living, and
Because-
the reason why the cost of living is the way it is because of
because
government.
Nikki, it don't matter if you saying to the viewers, get this government out, because there still has to be someone taking control.
And that's what
So
I'm
you get
saying.
this government
Be
out.
Wise, be wise and do a bit
It doesn't
of
matter.
research.
People gonna still struggle. People still gonna find it hard, and families are gonna still be on the breadline. Don't matter what government you think is trying to come in or trying to come out. It doesn't matter.
Well, all I
People
know is this
will always.
government,
It
this
doesn't
government
matter.
has got us back to
You
where
don't
we
have to
were
shout. Everyone can
before,
hear you.
because you don't listen. No, you can't.
Everyone,
because you're chatting rubbish.
everyone can hear you, but what I'm trying to say is the show is not about trying to sway people to get this
I'm
government
not trying
out.
to sway 'em.
Or
All I'm saying is think wisely. Because
you
it's
don't
this
even have
government-
to say that.
Yes, I
You
do,
don't have to
because no
say
one's
that.
voting.
There's a lot of clever
one's
people
voting.
out there. There's a lot of clever people out
Yeah,
there.
and they're the ones who
And-
voted
and-
for the company
and
before the government
Tonight's
is in
show
now.
is not about that anyway, but I'm sure.
It's about cost of living.
I'm
And it's
sure-
the government that's put us in this
And
position.
it doesn't matter-
Why cost of living has risen.
And it doesn't matter what government comes in, because the government before didn't do much better either.
They did a lot
There
less.
was
They
people
did
were
a lot
still
less than what this one's
people
done.
were still
Do
struggling.
you know what? I was all right with them.
People were still struggling. Well, that's your own personal view, and you know what I like, Nikki?
Well,
Everyone has their view.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own opinion.
yeah, so don't tell me what I can and can't
no,
say.
everyone has their own opinion.
What is it? Everyone
but
has a voice. I'm giving
Yes.
my voice.
But I'm not trying to sway people
I'm
to
just
get this
saying-
government out.
I'm just
But that's
saying,
okay.
think wisely about who you're voting for, because
Okay.
this government is the one who has made the cost of living the way it is now.
Your opinion.
It's-
My viewers, I would like to wrap up tonight's show. It has been another great show. You know, it's been hotly debated again. And don't forget, after the show, if you still got something to say, you can use the Facebook or Twitter page. Send me a message, The Big Debate Show. Don't hesitate. We've got about 2 minutes left, and this time has gone really fast.
We've actually got someone, Lee Brown. Being able to buy a house is made of hard work, years of saving to invest in your future, and as a young person, this to me is necessary. How many tattoos are flipping luxury paying? You can get a mortgage if you can save up hard enough. I haven't got there yet. You've got quite a few years to go, trust me. But a lot of my young friends have. Please stop tarnishing young people with the same brush. Not all students are supported by mummy and daddy.
Thank you. What a great way to end the show. Lee, I would like to say thank you for that. You know, and keep pushing on. Keep pushing on. Yes, we all are struggling. Not all, but a lot of people are. And just keep pushing on. But thank you for that message. And I really appreciate that. But time has run out. Time has run out. So first of all, I'd like to thank Nikki again for a wonderful debate.
It's all right.
Thank you. And I'd like to thank Bloodfire Studios and AJLR Media once again. And I would like to give a big thank you for everybody who took time out to watch the Big Debate Show. Don't forget, it's every Monday at 9 p.m. And before you go, let me say, next week's show is all about, I've got it here right now, should women be treated differently from men if they've had a lot of partners? That's for next week's show. Should women be treated differently if they've had a lot... No. Should women be treated differently than men if they've had a lot of partners? That's for next week's show. I'm sure that's going to be a hot one.
Yeah.
But once again, I'd like to thank everyone who tuned into the Big Debate Show. I am your host, the judge. And one more thing I would like to say. Remember, be safe and we all have a voice. Thank you and good night.